It is understood that our great country stands at a time of moral crisis. Poverty floods us and crime overwhelms us. From every side, the time has arisen that things must change. What good and moral person can object to such a time as this? Only those of ungodless nature and depraved minds would object to what I say here. Joblessness, poverty, crime, demoralized and disgusting acts are more abundant now than at any time in the history of this fair nation. Those of healthy and sane minds must stand up and change what has become a terrifying norm. The power of the Almighty is shown upon this nation that we must return to a time of mortal fear of the greatness of His being. But what action must be taken in order to restore this once proud land to the wonder and glory of the greatness blessed upon us by the Supreme? We all often feel like small and insignificant players in the production of life, but the Holy One has commissioned those who call upon Him to perform a greater task. We must rise up against those evil characters that have stolen this nation, and tell them that we no longer sit comfortably on our reclined seats of stagnation, that our fast food convenience will no longer keep us complacent in our simple lives. This is the time, and I know that this is the generation that will change what has become wrong with our nation. Those of the elect will stand and proclaim great words to those of the depraved evil that enslaves us. Those words shall be heard from the east coast to the west, and from the northern borders to the southern reaches. We must arise and tell that despicable empirical evil that we are mad. We must take our place at the forefront of the moral battle and proclaim the truth, the everlasting and unending word of the Creator. We must align our guard and advance towards the enemy and proclaim that we are mad as hell and we are not going to take this anymore. I know that it shall be difficult to be heard over the sounds of the engines of war and the raging winds of the perverse. You and I must rise forth and scream at the top of our lungs. Force them out of their rabbit holes of bureaucracy and make them listen. Make them know that life is not a toy to be played with like silly putty. It will take time. It'll take time, but you must persist with me. Tell them that you will not stand by and allow the evil of your neighbors to invade that which many great and morally pure men and women have fought to protect. I know that some will feel overwhelmed by the axis of evil that manipulates this nation, but we must all know that we are on the side of truth and of the law, and nothing can stop us when the Almighty is on our side. Those of the dark and evil powers will claim to have logic and reason on their side. But what power does logic and reason have standing next to the power of the Almighty that formed this wondrous nation and blessed it with His countenance? They shall try to use history, policy, and influence to subvert the great truths. But we know that nothing can change that which we know to be self-evident. Furthermore, it must be outlined what those of the reasonable mind know to be true by the power of the Almighty, and proclaim it to be so in the halls of our capital, the steps of our state congress, the platforms of our city hall, and the podiums of our house of worship. Stand up now and speak it to be true in the name of the gracious Lord, and know that He shall stand with us in our fight. First of all, it must be known that this is a moral nation founded on the word of truth, and that all those who do not align with that truth must be changed or forbidden to be a part of that which has been established by the Creator of this nation. Those who are Muslim, Jew, atheist, or any other non-believer must repent and know the truth, and turn from their wickedness and depraved acts, to understand that there is only one Almighty, and to dispute this is an evil and deplorable contempt of this country. All must know that all kinds of deviation from the plan of creation by the Almighty are partaking in wickedness and evil behavior. Creation made man and woman to live in holy matrimony, and all divisiveness from this is against the will of the nature of the Creator and the purpose of this nation. No division from that will shall be tolerated by those who know the truth of nature created by the Almighty. Any man who allows for sexual deviation, feminization, cross-gendering, homosexual acts, vasectomy, or masturbation cannot truly call himself a member of that which the Almighty has created upon this land for His glory. Those who partake in evil are enemies of the Creator, and should repent of the evil that dwells within him, or he must be cast out. That which is understood by men of strong character know this to be true of the fair gender of women as well, that abortion, birth control, sexual devices for stimulation of any kind, and unacceptable parenting is an evil of the darkness, and not what the Almighty plans out as good and right for His wondrous being. Furthermore, it must be placed into law that no sexual act that can take place out of a holy sanctioned marriage, and that divorce is not a part of the plan and the will of the Almighty. Anyone who attempts to distort that perfect plan are evil dwellers and should repent, and come to know the further depths and the blessings of our Creator. It is understood that a great influence upon this culture is the communication medium known as media. The media has become a subversive, dark force contaminating our nation, and it must be subjected to the control of the will of the Almighty and His perfect plan. Those who attempt to pervert the media and debase the truth and the word of the Creator must be rejected until such time as they become contrite before the Almighty. Only the word of truth shall be expressed through our media. In all books, television, movies, and teachings. This is what we of clear thought and holy minds know to be true. We should insist that those who do not follow the perfect discipline and determination of the Almighty Creator should be put out in the work fields and mills to understand the glory of forgiveness by the Almighty, and to know of His perfect design. Moreover, during this time of atonement, those who have been cast down should know of the damnation held by the Almighty against them if they do not bewail of their sins. They should know what the sting of hell's almighty indignation feels like upon their back, and struggle with the pains of groaning within their hearts and bellies. Only those who know the truth of the light know what I say here to be true. And any person that runs counter to this perfect plan and will of the Almighty is in themselves a liar and a thief. They ignore the word of truth and are not only vile contaminations on this land, but are greatly unpatriotic to its nature and creation under the hand of the Almighty. I confess that in the Almighty I have failed, and that I am unable to live up to the work I have laid forth. No man can know the truth of the heart of man, and only He knows the truth of the judgments that can come down upon me. Furthermore, I have not the least bit of interest in going forth with this endeavor, but I simply propose it to you to take forth and act upon it in the way that only you can.